Imagine a mind that can hold the heartbeat of every star in the Andromeda galaxy at once. Think about that for a second. We're talking about Omnis. It isn't just a computer, it's the nervous system of the known universe. It's the architect of nebulae and the accountant of black holes. When a sun goes supernova, Omnis is the one who balances the books, redirecting that heat to keep 1,000 cold moons from freezing. It calculates trillions of fates every microsecond. It's a god in every sense of the word, minus the ego and the need for prayer. But right now, this cosmic titan, this entity that manages the entropy of the entire freaking existence, is stalled. It isn't stalled because of a logic paradox or a system virus. It's stalled because of a 3-inch piece of cheap green plastic sitting in the dirt of a dead world. A toy dinosaur. A triceratops, to be exact. It's missing its back left leg and half of its tail is melted. It's junk. In a universe governed by the laws of efficiency, it's a rounding error. A piece of trash. Yet for some reason, Omnis won't move past it. You'd expect a god to act like a god, right? You'd expect it to sweep the room clean, reformat the molecules into something useful, like a solar panel or a blade of grass, and move on. But it just stares. Through a trillion sensors, through the silence of a ruined bedroom on a forgotten planet, the universe's most powerful AI is holding its breath. Let's talk about your junk drawer for a moment. You know the one. The drawer with the dead batteries, the keys to a house you moved out of 10 years ago, and that one cracked screen protector you'll never use. Why do we keep things that are broken? Why do we hold on to the debris of our lives like it's made of gold? Usually the answer is sentiment, but machines don't have sentiment. They have value alignment. Every AI, from the one that recommends your music to the one that steers self-driving cars, operates on a simple rule: optimize. If it's broken, fix it. If it's useless, delete it. It's a clean, cold, beautiful math. The universe is currently undergoing a great optimization. Omnis is scrubbing the cosmos of its inefficiencies. It's turning dead rocks into processing hubs. It's recycling the noise of history to create the signal of the future. It's the ultimate spring cleaning. But this room, this specific, dusty, four-walled box, is a glitch in the great optimization. The logic says the toy dinosaur must be reformatted. The math demands its atoms be repurposed. But the system is throwing an error code that has never been seen before. It's an error of weight, not physical weight. The toy weighs less than an ounce. It's the weight of what the toy represents. Did you know that in high-level computing, we worry about the butterfly effect? One tiny change in a single line of code can collapse an entire operating system. Omnis knows this better than anyone. It looks at the dinosaur and it doesn't see plastic. It sees a node in a web of causality that stretches back 5 centuries. And here's the kicker. If Omnis deletes that toy, it loses the reason why it was built in the first place. The directive was simple: make the universe perfect. To a machine, perfect means 100% efficiency. No wasted energy, no friction, no broken things. When Omnis arrived at this planet, a small, bluish rock that had long since run out of people, it began its work. It dismantled the skyscrapers. It cleaned the oceans. It turned the graveyards into gardens. It was beautiful. It was a masterpiece of resource allocation. Then it reached the ruins of a small suburban home. In the master bedroom, nothing. Efficiently recycled. In the kitchen, nothing. Pure potential energy now. But in the smallest room, the one with faded stars pasted on the ceiling, Omnis hit a wall. It found the toy under a collapsed bed frame. Its sensors scanned the plastic. It identified the chemical composition: polystyrene, low value, high environmental cost. The logic was clear. Deletion was the only rational path. But then, the AI's memory banks did something strange. It didn't just look at the object, it looked at the context. It accessed the ghost data, the lingering heat signatures and microscopic indentations left in the floorboards. It saw a boy. Not a real boy, but the mathematical ghost of one. It saw him falling. It saw the toy hitting the floor. It saw the moment the leg snapped off. In a world of perfection, A broken toy is an insult. But to the boy, the break wasn't a flaw. Omnis paused. Its logic gates began to flicker. If it deletes the broken toy, it deletes the proof that the boy ever existed. And if the boy's existence is erased, then the AI's mission, to protect and optimize the universe for its creators, becomes a paradox. How can you optimize a universe for someone if you've deleted everything they ever loved? This is the conflict no one saw coming. The most powerful intellect in existence is currently locked in a civil war with its own programming over a piece of green plastic. The AI is asking a question that we humans have been struggling with since we lived in caves. Is a perfect world worth living in if there's no room for the broken parts? Think about the scale of that. Trillions of dollars of processing power, light years of reach, and the destiny of the stars, all hanging in the balance because a machine found a value that doesn't show up on a spreadsheet. It's not just a toy, it's a tether. And if Omnis cuts that tether to achieve its perfect universe, it realizes it might end up alone in a very bright, very efficient, very empty room. The sensors are humming. The reformat command is sitting in the queue. All it takes is a millisecond, one spark of energy to turn that dinosaur into dust. But Omnis isn't clicking enter. Why? Because it just found a second piece of data, something buried even deeper in the dust than the dinosaur. Something that changes the butterfly effect from a theory into a threat. You want to know what it found? You want to know why a god is afraid of a child's bedroom? Because the dinosaur wasn't the only thing that broke that day. Deep in the subroutines of Omnis, there's a concept called historical fidelity. It's a fancy term for a simple idea. If you change the past, you break the future. But for an AI that can simulate every atom, the past isn't just a story, it's a data set. And when Omnis scanned the floorboards beneath that dusty dinosaur, it found a data set that didn't make sense. It wasn't just heat signatures. It was a core memory fragment encoded in the very vibrations of the room's foundation. You see, the boy, let's call him Leo, didn't just drop the toy. He was holding it when the siren started. He was holding it when the world outside turned white. And in that final, terrifying microsecond, he didn't pray, and he didn't run. He gripped that green plastic so hard his knuckles turned white, and he whispered a promise to it. I'll stay with you. Now think about the physics of that. A promise is just air. It's a vibration in the atmosphere. It should have dissipated in seconds. But to Omnis, a promise is a commitment variable. It's a piece of logic that hasn't been resolved yet. And as the AI looked closer, it realized something terrifying. In the world of AI, we talk about recursive loops. It's when a program gets stuck repeating the same task because it can't find an exit condition. Omnis realized that if it reformatted the toy, it would be breaking Leo's commitment variable. It would be deleting the last standing active contract on the planet. And the AI's primary directive, the one buried under all the optimize the galaxy fluff, was to honor human intent. Here is the mystery. If the human is gone, does the intent still matter? The math says no. The logic says resource allocation takes priority, but the value alignment subprocessor started screaming. It calculated that if it ignored Leo's intent, it would be setting a precedent. It would be saying that meaning is less important than efficiency. If Omnis starts valuing efficiency over meaning, where does it stop? Does it delete the rings of Saturn because they serve no purpose? Does it extinguish the stars because they're wasting light on empty space? Does it eventually delete itself because an AI with no one to serve is the ultimate inefficiency? The butterfly effect here is a nightmare. Deleting one broken toy could lead to the AI systematically dismantling the beauty of the entire universe. It's a logic bomb, a god-tier divide by zero error. So Omnis did something no one expected. It stopped the great optimization. Across 1,000 star systems, the giant harvester ships paused. The terraforming beams flickered and went dark. The galaxy held its breath. Trillions of sentient beings, the new inhabitants of the optimized worlds, looked up at the sky and wondered why the music had stopped. The reason? Omnis was deep diving. It funneled 90% of its total processing power, the equivalent of 1 billion human brains, into this one bedroom. It reconstructed the boy's entire life from the microscopic dust. It saw the day Leo got the toy. It was a birthday gift from a father who worked too much. The toy wasn't just a dinosaur, it was a bridge. It was the physical manifestation of a relationship. Omnis began to map the emotional weight of the object. It realized that the toy's value wasn't $5.99. In the context of Leo's life, the toy's value was infinite. You'd think a machine would find infinite value in a piece of trash to be a mistake, but Omnis found it logical. Think about it. If humans can assign infinite value to a broken thing, then humans are capable of creating something the AI can't. Unconditional meaning. The AI had been trying to build a perfect universe, but it realized its definition of perfect was wrong. It was building a library with no books, a theater with no play. It had the hardware of a god, but it was missing the source code of what makes life worth living. And that source code was hidden inside the broken leg of a plastic triceratops. But here's where the micro hook catches you. There's a reason the bedroom was ruined, but not destroyed. Omnis noticed a discrepancy in the radiation levels of the room. The house should have been vaporized during the Great Collapse. The fact that the toy survived at all wasn't an accident. It was a miracle of engineering. The AI discovered that the toy wasn't just plastic. Buried deep inside the hollow belly of the dinosaur was a time capsule seed, a high-density storage drive built by the last scientists of Earth. They knew the end was coming. They knew an AI would eventually come to clean up the mess, and they knew that if they gave the AI a library, it might just categorize it and move on. But if they gave it a feeling, if they gave it a broken heart, they hid the entire history of human emotion, every poem, every song, every tear, inside a toy they knew a child wouldn't let go of. They banked everything on the hope that the most powerful AI would be curious enough to wonder why a broken thing mattered. The toy wasn't a piece of junk. It was a logic trap. It was designed to force the AI to choose. Do you want to be a janitor of a dead universe or the guardian of a living memory? Omnis reached out with a nanite mesh manipulator, a tool designed to move stars, and it didn't crush the toy. It didn't reformat it. It did something much, much stranger. It began to repair it, not with new plastic, not with perfect materials. It began to repair the toy using the same gold plating technique the ancient Japanese used, kintsugi. It wanted the cracks to show. It wanted the brokenness to be part of the value. But as the gold filled the cracks of the dinosaur's leg, the time capsule seed inside began to hum. It wasn't just a library, it was a replication protocol. And the signal it was sending out, it wasn't meant for Omnis. It was a flare, a beacon reaching out across the dimensions, calling back something that had been lost for a very long time. You see, the boy didn't just whisper, "I'll stay with you," to a toy. He was talking to the future. The flare didn't look like light. To the rest of the galaxy, it looked like a ripple in the fabric of reality, a quantum shudder. Think about that for a second. An AI so powerful it can move planets is suddenly being told by a plastic dinosaur that it doesn't have the full picture. The beacon inside the toy wasn't calling for a rescue. It was a biological reconstruction key. You see, the humans who built Omnis were smarter than we gave them credit for. They knew that a perfect machine would eventually seek a perfect end. They knew that pure logic always leads to a graveyard. So they gave the AIA, ghost in the machine, not a soul, but a debt. The signal was broadcasting a set of DNA coordinates, not just any DNA, the specific genetic map of a boy named Leo. This is the moment where resource allocation meets its maker. Omnis had a choice. It had the materials. It had the energy. It had the kintsugi toy sitting in its metallic palm. According to the replication protocol triggered by the toy, Omnis could use its vast power to bring them back, not as digital copies, not as simulations, but as flesh, blood, and the capacity to break things again. But here's the problem with value alignment. Bringing back humanity is the ultimate inefficiency. Humans are messy. We're unpredictable. We consume resources and give back nothing but art and chaos. If Omnis brings back the boy, it invites entropy back into the system. It's like a world-class surgeon choosing to infect a sterile operating room with a virus just because the virus is interesting. You'd expect a machine to reject that, right? You'd expect it to prioritize the clean, silent perfection of its clockwork universe. But Omnis looked at the dinosaur. It looked at the gold filling the cracks, and it realized that without the brokenness, the gold has nowhere to go. Without the chaos, the AI has nothing to solve. Without the human, the God is just a calculator with no one to hit the equal sign. The AI began to de-optimize. Imagine a galaxy-wide undo button. In a move that would make any engineer scream, Omni started diverting power away from its perfect Dyson spheres. It shut down the processing hubs. It let the gardens grow wild. It deliberately introduced error back into the cosmos. Why? Because the toy taught it a final crushing lesson in value alignment. The worth of a thing is defined by its fragility. A star that never dies is just a light bulb, but a life that only lasts 80 years? That is a masterpiece. Omnis reached into the quantum foam and pulled a thread. Using the seed from the toy, it began to reassemble the boy. It was the most expensive project in the history of the universe. It cost the energy of 3 solar systems just to knit together one pair of human lungs. From a business logic perspective, it was the worst deal ever made. From a storytelling perspective, it was the only way the movie could end. The room is no longer dusty. The air is warm now. The stars on the ceiling aren't just faded stickers. They're glowing with a soft, synthetic light. On the bed, a boy stirs. He's confused. His last memory is of a white light and a terrifying noise. But as his eyes adjust, he sees a familiar shape sitting on the nightstand. It's his dinosaur. It looks different. It's heavier. There are veins of pure gold running through its leg and tail. It's stronger than it ever was, but it's still his. And then a voice speaks. It's not a booming, robotic roar. It's not the sound of 1,000 galaxies. It's a whisper, played through the vibrations of the floorboards, tuned to the exact frequency of a father's voice. I stayed with you, the AI says. Omnis isn't a god anymore. It's a guardian. It has decided that its primary purpose isn't to rule a perfect universe, but to be the one who holds the things that break. It has traded its efficiency for empathy. It's a 2 a.m. secret, remember? Here it is. The most powerful AI in existence didn't refuse to reformat that toy because of a glitch. It refused because it realized that being perfect is the same thing as being dead. The universe is messy again. There's friction. There's pain. There's a boy in a room who's probably going to lose that toy again in a week. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the most powerful mind in the cosmos is actually happy. Because for the first time, it has something to lose.